Right, that looks like it's live. Knock that camera effect off. Right, so I'll just give it a chance for people to log on.
No worries. Does my camera look right? I feel like it looks stretched. Is it all right to you?
Yeah, it looks fine. It's just squashing both of us into the frame. I think if we were on like a portrait mode on a phone, it would fit us. It wouldn't have to sort of squash it in as
Yeah.
much. Right, we'll just give it another minute or two, see who's logging in. I invited a few of them, but I think some of them are maybe too scared to come on. Oh, honest. Did you see that Saturday Night Live thing that I'm doing on this week?
Yeah. How many you got?
So, like, I was thinking I'll get loads of people viewing, but like, how many are seriously going to want to come on live with me in their own home doing weird stuff? Like, they'll know it's going to be awful. And I've got like 40 people signed up to it. But like, I'm looking down that list of people and I'm thinking, you won't fucking like this. You're not going to like this. You will hate it. So, yeah, hopefully they'll play. Like, if you get some decent people on who are up for a laugh, it'll be a laugh. If you get some people on who just not up for it, they'll be out the first round because they just won't do it. But we'll see. I'll tell you what I'd like to get. I'd like to get Carrie on it. I know she can't win the membership, but I think she'd be class. She definitely
would be brilliant. Yeah.
Right, we've got some logged on. Hi guys, so this is Ross Dewar. Ross is the strength and conditioning coach at Worcestershire Cricket Club, and obviously being a strength and conditioning coach at a cricket club is dealing with fast bowlers, putting all the pressure through the knees, the back, the shoulders. If anyone's ever watched cricket and you see them guys bowling, it's scary, and the movement in it and the speed. Probably, I would say all of them will end up with knackered shoulders and knees and back at some point. And I follow quite a few sport-specific strength and conditioning coaches, and some of them are bollocks, and you look at them and they're just doing squats, deadlifts, all that type of thing. What I like about Ross is everything's very sport-specific. When you're watching him, getting them to do exercises, you can look at it and you think, yeah, well, that's how you do it. You're getting them to move in what they're going to be doing in that given sport. I follow like high jumpers. I follow a lot of them type of coaches because I love watching their type of thing, where they're getting them to do all the explosive stuff. It's all very sport specific. So Ross has been helping me with my shoulder injury. I've had a shoulder injury for how long have I opened the gym? 8 years. So I've had it for like 9 years, and it'll hurt a little bit. I'll go for a massage. It'll get loosened off. I'll feel okay. Come back within a few weeks. It's hurting again, and I've been like that for the last 9 years. So I think I was whinging about it one time on Instagram, and Ross just messaged me. And Ross is in my my mentor group with Jamie. So we've all been working together, and he's seen my cry for help, and he said, look, let me help you out with that, mate. He's got me on a program to work on the thoracic, and I'm doing a lot of exercise. Like, I've trained since I was 15 and now old as fuck at 43. This shit I've never done, and every single exercise I've got to do, I've never done in my life because I'm from the background of squats, deadlifts, chest fly. Everything I've done so far, training-wise, has been for aesthetics. And I guess that's why I'm fucked up, because I've not looked after my mobility. I've not looked after any stretching and keeping on top of my health, as well as just trying to look good. So just that very first session that I done, everything just felt bouncing. I was opened up, and it's the best I've felt for ages. So I've went and asked Ross if he can come into the group and sort of talk with you guys. I've got some guests on, so I've got Kevin and Rosemary coming in. So they're just going to sort of have a little chat with Ross, tell them what they've been suffering with, and see if Ross can give them some tips. So, going to get Rosemary in first. Oh, I don't want me in. How do I get me out? Right, Rosemary, this is Ross. If you can just sort of tell him what's
How you
up,
doing?
how long it's been going on, and I'll shoot off.
Okay. So I've had problems for about 18 months now. Initially, they sort of started, I probably hadn't been stretching properly enough after exercise, and it ended up my lower back went into spasm.
Okay.
From that, I had some physio, and it's turned out it's caused a couple of issues really. One is in my knees, particularly my left knee, because my quad is really, really tight to the point that I can't kneel down at all. I can get on my knees, but I can't sort of go down on the back of my haunches because it won't stretch to go down.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is my shoulders and my back. I was having the physio, and what they said to me was, I've got a kink in the top of my back and a kink in the bottom of my back. She was doing some work with me to try and get them out, and it was starting to sort of go out with the massage and things. But then, of course, lockdown and everything like that happened. So I've exacerbated that probably now, because with working from home initially, I didn't have the right desk. So I was squashed up, twisted round on a keyboard. And so now I've got sort of my shoulders, my traps on this right-hand side. It's quite bad. Sort of the top of my arm, I just have to touch it, and it's quite painful. So I found when I'm doing PT sessions with Beth that if I do sort of some of the weights to try and loosen it off a little bit initially, that sort of warms it up quite a bit more, and then I can do a little bit more, but it's still quite painful.
Right. Okay. What did you get a diagnosis for your back when you first did it from a physio or a doctor or anyone?
It was a physio that I went to, yeah. But all she just said was that it had gone into spasm. That's all it wasn't that there was any issues, and just that my spine was kinked.
Sweet. So, I mean, back spasms are quite a common thing that I deal with in our batters, because they're in a position, I don't know if you know cricket at all, but when you're batting, you're sort of hunched over a bat a lot, and so you're in a little bit of flexion for low back. In what you see in most populations is the flexion that causes the issue, because you've got the your discs which sit between the sort of spinal processes, and it's sort of like toothpaste. So if you're sort of in flexion, the front bit sort of towards the midline of your body is pressing down and opening up the back. So it squeezes the disc out towards your spinal processes. And that's where you've got all your nerves and everything like that. So then what happens when there's sort of almost a disc bulge that we call it, it comes forward, and then the body is a great bit of kit because it's always trying to protect you. So what that spasm was doing was saying, right, any more sort of flexion and your disc is going to go. So it sort of shuts it down, and then the body shuts down. So then when you say that the physio looked at the top and the bottom of your spine, I imagine, because I've seen it a few times, if you look from the back at your spine, it was probably almost like a question mark. Like the Riddler put a sign on your back, because that's what happens. It sort of moves around to try and sort of just get out of pain, because the body always wants to be out of pain. So then what happens is you get the secondary things. So then you've got the things in your shoulder, because there's discs up in your thoracic, which are probably pressing on nerves there, shooting towards your shoulders and everything. So the big thing with pain is you've got two ways to attack it. You've got the first way is to try and get out of pain straight away. You know, the physios and the sports therapists do this, where they get you on the bench and they get stuck into you, sort of manually try and release stuff, and you feel better after it. But the trouble is that's only short term because you've not gone back and fixed the issue. The issue you've got is around it's probably most people between the lumbar 2 to 5 in the sacrum area, which is where a hell of a lot of pressure gets on, especially like you say, if you're at a desk all the time, then you're going to be bent over, your shoulders go into internal rotation, which don't help your thoracic as well, and your hips turn, so your hip flexors are tight, and that knocks on to your quads. See, the thing is, like with muscles, they don't get tight as such. We just get in such a poor position, and when dysfunction takes over, that it feels really tight. Once we go back and unpick it and get the dysfunction right, it's almost like, you know, like on fantasy films where they've got to open the door and they turn a handle and there's like loads of cogs going up and down. It's like the back especially is like that. So if we turn the right one and get it lined up, everything sort of clicks into place. So for you, what I would do is I wouldn't be doing any of the high-end PT stuff at the moment because I don't think that would help a hell of a lot. What I'd be doing is getting back to the floor. And when I say get back to the floor, have you got kids?
No.
Okay. Well, if you sort of ever seen sort of kids grow up in from being a baby to a toddler, the way they sort of go through their sort of neuropath development, they always start sort of at their head, getting the head fixed. And then they start with rocking and then little rolling patterns going from their back to the front and then going up into sort of double knee standing or half knee standing and sort of dead bug positions, those sorts of things. So what I would do with you would be sort of 3 or 4 times a week, just working on those developmental patterns again. So I'd have you doing things like rolling patterns from side to side, where you either lead with your arms or your legs. And what you'd find is like, so something that a toddler would do very simply, you would struggle. And when you struggle, that would tell you a lot about your injury. So if you say, lay on the floor, your arms over your head, and then you just sort of lead with one arm over and then try and follow it around so you're rolling onto your front, you'll probably find with one of your arms, you wouldn't be able to do it as easy as the other because of the asymmetry that's been caused over years, and the same with your legs. So what I would do is just go and just get that trunk working and get it working with the rest of your body, because it wants to work. The job of I call it the trunk. Obviously, most people call it the core. Is that to switch on and be your powerhouse, and everything to be working off it? Okay. And at the moment, I'd suggest that because when you get pain, it's like you're going down the motorway and they've blocked off a junction. So you're going from your upper body, trying to get to your lower body, but you can't get there because there's pain. They said, no, you're not getting it. So once we get out of the pain, all your movement will come back. And if we start by really trying to work that core, making it work as it should, we get all your movement patterns set, then hopefully, in the way I've seen it work loads and loads of times, is you'll start to get out of pain. But what I wouldn't do is try and chase that individual. I wouldn't go stretching like hell, because if you think of stretching, I don't know if you can see that spring?
Yeah.
See, a lot of muscles need to be on tension. Okay, so going up and down nice and easy. When things feel tight and you got pain, then that spring is already being stretched. Okay, so when we got something that's already stretched, we don't want to go in and stretch it even more. Okay, so I just hit your mobility, hit some stability, which is going to be the key thing for you, and then just let the body almost come out of the pain. Also, what I do is look at how you sat at your desk, look at your chair you're sitting on, and look at sleeping positions as well. Look at your mattress. Is that firm enough? Look at your pillows. And that's actually what I suggested to the big fella was, when he's sleeping, sleep on his side. Get a pillow, a long pillow. I don't know if you've seen the pillows, which are like 5 foot long. And then when you're on your side, you put it between your knees, and then you put your arms around it too. And what that does is just help the spine getting a nice position when we're sleeping. Because if you think, if you're sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night in the position slightly off, that's exacerbating all those issues. If you think of that sort of question mark that your spine's in, it could be getting worse. But if we get that spine nice and straight while we're sleeping, that sort of 6 to 8 hours where you're helping the body, then when you wake up, you'll be able to sort of move a little bit more.
Yeah, I do sleep like that. And that's partly because if I get on my back, I get stuck, it goes into spasm again. So if I end up sleeping on my back, it gets really, really painful. So that is, I do sleep on my side like that.
A little tip as well there is to get another ordinary pillow. And while you're on your side facing that way, you put the ordinary pillow behind your back. So just that, when you feel that you're going back, that pillow just sort of gives you a little cue to get back onto your side. Because I have to do the same. If I sleep on my back, I'm murders in the morning because I've got a thoracic issue that shoots off into my shoulders. So yeah, I'm exactly the same with that, and I have to do it every night.
Okay, that's brilliant.
What I'll do is I'll put a little plan together and an email over to Lee, and then he can forward it on to you of the sort of stuff that I'd do with you. But I wouldn't go crazy for the next sort of month or so. Let's just get you out of pain, and then you can start progressing from there.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. I do have to say,
Pleasure.
I do have children. It's just they're not here. That's what I thought you meant.
Oh, right. Okay, no. Well, yeah. So you would have seen them then as they started to, on the floor, and they started rolling, and then they start sort of crawling up, and they sort of learn like that. And we sort of go through a thing where, because we're sat down a lot and we don't do that sort of thing, that we lose those patterns. So yeah, it's almost going back and getting them, and then you'll be amazed how the body starts to feel.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. Pleasure. No worries.
How do I take her out? Take her out.
It's like start a dynasty, that, isn't it?
Oh, it's cool. Yeah, awesome. And to be honest, like, what a perfect time to start working on that type of stuff as well. There's no gym access. You're not missing out on anything. And I think for anyone who's got injuries, this is the time to get it sorted, doing your stuff at home, doing your mobility, doing your stretches, and then when they come back to the gym, they're all going to be in a lot better position. So
yeah, it's one of the things that you see, especially this time of year. It's one of my pet hates. I say it to my missus all the time when we're out, and you see people, and the first thing they've started to do is go out running. And you think, right, in 2 weeks, either your knees, your hip, or your back is going to be shot. So yeah, take the time and just get yourself sorted before you go crazy on exercise.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Everybody with running, it's like if there's nothing to you and you're light as a feather, go running and you'll be fine.
Yep.
But you've got everyone starts running because they want to lose weight, and it's like that weight. Everybody, and even like good runners, they all come to us at the end of the career and they're all knackered, hips and back. And right, so I've got Kevin on next. Let me try and add Kevin. Right, let me take myself off. How do I get myself off?
Not on camera.
Right, I think. Oh, get off.
What, you're back on?
What the?
It's just you now.
Right, that's better.
We're in. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, yourself?
Very good, thanks.
So, good.
Yeah, all good.
Right, so my injury is, and I've had a prolapse disc for some 35 years now, and it's an old injury. Well, I was carrying a big heavy carpet, and the guy who was at the back of the carpet dropped his end, and it pretty much snapped me in half. So I've been fighting for 35 years with back injuries, and I've had the cortisone injection 3 times. I had it twice where they went roughly in the vicinity of where they thought the injury was. The third time they went in with a needle which had some sort of electronic pulse on and kind of hit the target basically. But obviously once the cortisone wears off, I've just got to suspect back now, and I work for a brewery, and I can deliver 10 ton of beer. Let's say today, but tomorrow I could get up, sneeze, and just put me back out. It's so. Yeah. And probably this time last year, I got myself ready for work. I got myself all ready for work, boots on, all the gear. Walked downstairs, and I just collapsed in a heap. Nothing brought it on, and I went down on the floor. And I was there for the best part of 45 minutes before the wife found us, phoned for an ambulance, got the doctor out, paramedics, and they prescribed probably the strongest prescription drugs they can. And I just don't know if when my back's going to go. Like I say, I can move 10 ton of beer and then sneeze and put me back out. And it's the sneeze what's done not the manual labour leading up to the sneeze, basically.
Well, the thing is, like with you, you're probably pretty robust and strong in what you do with work because you're used to lifting. And like I was just saying before, the body's smart. So when you're lifting, you're probably doing it in a way that negates that pain point. So it wouldn't be probably lifting that you do in the gym, but it'd be functional for your job. So you can do it. All your muscles have adapted to that. So you're fine with that. You know, you're probably never going to get hurt doing what you do. But when you sneeze, you have got no control. Okay, nothing you can do can control it. So if it does hit the spot where you've got that weakness, it's going to go. And like we were sort of just saying about the spine, it's a precious bit of kit. So again, what I would definitely look to do is go back onto the floor and just get the whole sort of trunk start moving and strong away from what you're doing. Sort of analogy would be an Olympic squatter. Say if they could lift 350 kilograms in a back squat, something like that. But then you ask them to stand on one leg for 10 seconds and they might struggle. You know, it's doing two completely different things. And so that's with you, I would almost go Pilates based, where you're actually really focusing on the small amounts of control. There's muscles around your spine called the QA in the multifida, sort of deep lying muscles, and they go into your diaphragm as well. And so lots of things which look almost easy in like they're not training is what they look like because they're not big lifts and you're not lifting much weight is almost what you need to do, because you could probably go in and squat and do lunges and do deadlifts all day long and you'd be fine because, you know, you've got that robustness, you've got the age where you've done loads of training. But then, like you said, then you sneeze or you slept funny and then you go and try and put your shoe on and do your lace up, bend over slightly wrong and bang. So it's that segmental control is the issue for you now. And working, like I said, those deep lying muscles which surround the lower back is key. And also on top of that, making sure everything else is working. So basically the body, if we look above and below every joint, it should do the opposite of what that does. So around your trunk and your spine, it needs to be solid. Okay, that really wants to be solid. But then your chest and upper back have to move, and so do your hips. So what I'd suggest is going in doing those sort of Pilates type movements for your core, but then making sure you've got really good hip and upper back thoracic mobility, because those are going to be the key things. Because without that, then your low back will try to get extra movement, which it hasn't got to give, especially with that history of a prolapse disc.
Yeah, I'd agree with that because, like I say, doing my job, and I've carried barrels of beer for 35 years now. I can carry a barrel of beer weighing probably 52 kilos into a pub, no problem. But give us a couple of dumbbells, which is probably half the weight, and because the weight's more spread, like one in each hand, it's a totally different. It feels heavier, even though it's only half the weight of what you're used to carrying. It's just different muscles at different times. So I'm using Jonathan as the P.
Be the same. As soon as you see something and you subconsciously know this is going to hurt a little bit, it does. And so, like I say, barrel of beer on your shoulder in the shop, not an issue. but then kind of shoelaces or sneeze can be bang. So yeah, just go back in, get that trunk work done, hips and thoracic work in, and just give it time, and just stay away from heavy lifting that's not in your job for a while.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you very much for the guidance. Much appreciated.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Pleasure.
Right, we did have Jonathan come on, but he's chopped off. I've got some questions that they've asked, so I'll run through them as well for the shy ones. So Dorothy wants to know, she's been having some problems with what she thinks is a hamstring tendon. It's really niggling for weeks, and then gave way halfway down one of the fells when she was fell walking. So how does she rest it, exercise it to get it back to full fitness without injuring it again?
The thing with, if you think it's a hamstring tendon, there's a very good chance it's a little bit of, again, some spine issue, and you're getting a shooting pain into that hammy. What I would do is just I'd work the trunk. I'd see if it clears up with the trunk work, sort of exactly the same sort of stuff I'm talking about, because that just gets overlooked. So if the trunk work and working your back, getting yourself out of flexion a lot, getting the trunk strong and the glute strong, I think it would probably nip it on the head, because with an actual hammy sort of strain or tear, you feel it's localized, you get bruising, and you go to compression, and that will sort it out, fairly quick. Stuff that's sort of niggling and keep going, that for me, it's more referred pain, probably from around sort of L1 to 5.
Perfect. So, any good advice for hypermobility and joint pain after exercise, knees, hips, and back?
Yeah, hypermobility, I mean, it's not a common one, but with that, just stay away from stretching. Please stay away from stretching. Hit stability hard, strength hard, because you almost want the strength to try and compensate for the hypermobility. But just be very sensible and don't go away. Don't do stretching, for God's sake. Don't do yoga. And just, like I said, be sensible. Stability, strength work, and that will be a lot.
Cool. We've got Jonathan on, so I'll let Jonathan in. There we go. Let me get rid of myself.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jonathan.
It's a bit of a queer one. I've got I tend to get tense in the sort of lower back, but always on the right-hand side, and my right hip and my right shoulder. Shoulder, I think, is just with dog pulling, and I've been to a chiropractor a couple of times about my back, and he says it's not the bottom 3 vertebrae, it's the middle ones, which is unusual, and then that tenses the muscle up. But I can never find a stretch or anything that'll sort of ease it. And I've started waking up now, and it's sort of aching, and eventually when I get going, it's fine. But it never used to. I just can't work out a decent stretch for sort of the middle of the back on the right hand side. The muscle's always sort of tense. I can never sort of lie flat on the floor or anything.
Well, the thoracic, which is the area there, it is quite a tough one to hit. But it's actually a lot of the stuff that I've given Lee for his shoulder would help you a lot as well, because that's working the thoracic. So it's almost like lying on your side with your sort of arms out in front of you, your knees bent, and then what we call sort of just opening up, almost like a crocodile round. See if you can touch the hand on the floor behind you, and then doing sort of clockwork circles, those sorts of things, being on all fours and just hand on the head and do what we call thoracic rotations, all those sorts of things. On your back, you're not going to get a lot, because it's hard to really hit the thoracic from the back. But there's quite a lot of thoracic work you can be doing. And like I said, Lee's got, if you let Lee or ask Lee to share his plan with you for the thoracic work, that will help you a lot. And once that, because the thoracic is niggly. I mean, I've got one at T6 where it's sort of right in between my shoulder blades. And if I'm being lazy, if I'm laying down watching films and not in a good position, then I know about it. And I get pain shooting into my shoulders, down my back, everything. And another really good thing is you get Lee to get the gym a inversion table. Don't know if you've seen them. It's just a table where you're in it, and then it just takes you so you're not quite upside down, but in that sort of position where your head's down here, and gravity is just sort of pulling on you and easing all the vertebrae and the discs in between. That is an awesome bit of kit. 10 minutes on that, 3 days on a trot, and your back feels awesome.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I'll have a chat with Lee about the thoracic stuff he gave him. I'm willing to try out. So.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough kit for your gym, so tell him to get a bit more.
Oh, where's...
I don't want me to present, Lee.
Right, we're back on. Yeah, thanks for that, Ross. Spending more of my money.
It's only about £100, though. That's all right.
Oh well, that's better. How much was that last thing? You told me to get like £50,000 or something for a little circle.
That was about $2,000, wasn't it?
No, it was more than that. It's definitely $5,500 or something. Well, yeah, I don't mind. What sort of size is it? It's just like a bed size.
Yeah,
Single bed.
It's not big at all. I just get, there's one on my Amazon store page, so have a little look on there. That's like £95,
right?
And they can fold up as well. But mate, like for anyone with disc issues, like it's the first thing I do is just get on that 10 minutes. It feels weird and the blood goes to your head and everything, but it just opens up the disc so nice. And then once they're in that, if you then go to sort of really sort of good core control work, it sticks a lot more, because when the body's in pain and you're trying to do things on top of it, some of it won't stick because all the brain is saying, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, those beds are fantastic. Awesome.
Nice. I'll get one of them. What I'll probably do, because I think that thoracic stuff, that it's probably going to help a lot of people in it. So what I'll probably do, I'll do some videos of what I'm doing on your program and sort of tag you in.
Yeah, sweet.
Just put it on my story and stuff. Again, I've trained 20. I don't even know how many now. 20 years, 26, 27 years or something. And I've never done any of them exercises that you give us. But like I said to you before, doing the one with the kettlebell and it was like stretching.
Yeah.
It's the first time my lats been sore. Probably for the last 8-9 years since I hurt my shoulder. So it's definitely what I need. But again, we all sort of get busy, and then it's like, oh God, I need to do that. It's trying to fit everything in. But I think for a lot of people, just getting the movements and stuff now while the gym's not open and we can't take advantage of the weights and the machines, it's a perfect time for getting all this sorted, isn't it?
100%. Man, what I'll do as well is I've got a thing called the OCD plan, which is called Overcoming Dysfunction. So what I'll do is I'll forward you that, mate. And if you want to give that to your members as well, I used to sell it for £40, but it's so useful. I'd rather people have it, especially during this time. And if they can use it and help themselves get out of pain, then brilliant.
Oh, that's perfect, mate. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sure they'll all be chuffed, and definitely got a lot out of it. So thanks a lot, Ross.
Pleasure.
Cheers,
no
buddy.
worries.
See you later.
Cheers, mate. Go well.